My name is Arin Lindauer, and you're listening to A Life Without Struggle. I'm a wife, a mother of 2 wonderful children, a 2-time best-selling author, and a highly driven and successful entrepreneur. In my 17-plus year career as a mindset and health expert, I know what holds women back from a life you only dream about. Whether you're a CEO, a businesswoman, or executive, I started this podcast because I have been where you are, and I know you want and deserve more out of your life. I believe women are limitless. We just get lost along the way. The process to get you there is the topic and purpose of this podcast. When you understand what you want, you can truly step into a life without struggle. Welcome, and I'm so thankful you're here. Welcome back to another episode of Life Without Struggle. My name is Arin Lindauer, and today we're going to dig into nutrition hacks. So nutrition is absolutely one of the most important things that we must address when we are in a health, weight loss journey. We just want to feel better. It's absolutely wild to me, all the misconceptions about nutrition. And in all fairness, I get it. I really understand why nutrition is so dang confusing, because so many gurus are out there trying to tell you you can't have carbs, you can't have fruit, you can't have bread, you can't have candy, you hear all these things all the time, and it's just like, I wish people would just stop. And I wish that we had more regulation over this, that you can't spread all this misinformation. And you don't have to do it one said way. Like what works for someone doesn't work for another person. So what we're going to do is we're going to dig into what I see, and from my viewpoint as a coach, some of the things that absolutely work when it comes to weight loss, when it comes to feeling better, and just seeing the overall results. So first and foremost, for most women, they have no idea if their nutrition is good, if their nutrition is bad, and what they perceive to be bad or good is not always correct. So let's dig into this pretty deep topic here today, because I want to give you some good insights, some good takeaways on how you really want to look at your nutrition. So overall, I get pretty fired up when it comes to tracking food. And here's the deal. 100% tracking food can absolutely be helpful, but you have to do it correctly. Cannot just download MyFitnessPal and just start plugging things in, hoping and praying that you're plugging in the right stuff. Okay. So many things are in there. They're not labeled correctly. And here's the deal. I had so many people get fired up about the label being gone. But here's the deal. If all your food has a label or a barcode that you can scan, we're eating a lot of processed, prepackaged stuff. Okay. So I get it. It was easy. It was nice. But here's the deal. We need to get back to the absolute foundation, eat real, eat whole foods that don't necessarily come in a box or can sit on the shelf for eternity. Now, does this mean that I never have a canned good or a dry good in my pantry? Absolutely not. I would never say that to you, but really want to be mindful that if your food is perishable, it's a good thing. It's a whole, real food. So if you're going to track, I want to dig into this and help you better understand what you can do to be very, very successful with tracking food. So I highly recommend going on Amazon and purchasing a food scale. And we're talking a $20 scale. Nothing fancy, doesn't have to be fancy, but this is where you can get wildly clear on what does 4 ounces of chicken look like? What does 5 ounces of salmon look like? And so you want to start really measuring. You want to get out your measuring cups as well. Like if you're going to have quinoa, brown rice, whatever. Like we need to understand how much it is so that when you're inputting it into a tool like MyFitnessPal, you're actually getting the correct portion. And it does take a second in a tool like MyFitnessPal to select perfectly. Sometimes I've had to like kind of finagle it a little bit with maybe adding another serving, but reasonably speaking, all that stuff matters. So now you may be saying, okay, I gotcha. I see the level of detail that I need to have. A lot of times what ends up happening is I'll have clients, tell me that they're only eating 1,200 calories, when in reality, they did not measure, they did not weigh things, and who knows, right? We just have no idea. But when you actually measure it, then it's like, okay, reasonably speaking, we're pretty on point when it comes to this. And it becomes very cut and dry, what's working, what's not working. So now that we've got that out, now we want to think about, okay, how many calories do you personally need to consume? And if someone desires weight loss, I have found that keeping you in a 500 calorie per day deficit is typically the best. So for example, now we need to know, okay, how many calories do you burn in a day? And you may be saying, okay, how would I ever know how many calories I burn in a day? Well, here's the deal. Wearing different devices that give you overall calorie expenditure are very, very helpful. So these are your Garmin watches, your Apple Watch, your Fitbit, there's Oura rings. So there's a bunch of them on the market, which I believe are really helpful. Again, you've got this data. We can be very objective and say, okay, cool. If I burned 2,000 calories today, just, based on all of my activity, my workouts included in there, my normal just walking around the office, coming home, all of that's added in there. And then we can reasonably say, okay, I need to consume 500 calories per day, and that's going to keep me in a 500 calorie deficit. And so when we look at an overall week, we're in a 3,500 calorie deficit. This is like nuts and bolts. This is how it works. Okay. That is hands down. You follow that system that will produce weight loss. So then it's like, well, should I intermittent fast? Should I count macros? What about this keto, Mediterranean? And so here's the deal. I'm going to tell you that I would eat towards your preferences. What do you personally like? Now, sometimes someone just has maybe never eaten certain kinds of foods. Maybe they weren't raised in an environment that you had that type of food. Like growing up, I absolutely never had fish unless we were fishing at the lake. And I remember having a very, very hard time understanding why we would put a hook in a fish's mouth. And then watching my dad clean a fish pretty much solidified why I would never consume a fish ever again in my life. So personally, I do not personally care for a fish. If it was like in a restaurant or we're, somewhere where we are close to where they caught it, I will absolutely taste it, but it is definitely not something I'm going to order. And I truly believe that I was just traumatized watching cleaning fish, and I just the whole concept of fishing. I know so many of you guys are going to be laughing at me, but I was just like, I cannot get down with this. A hook in a mouth. I guess what's worse? Well, I don't even want to go there today. So, anyways, you are welcome to eat what you prefer. Okay. Does keto work? Absolutely. Does Whole30 work? Absolutely. Does Mediterranean work? 100%. So here's what we want to think about. We want to think about, okay, what is a protein source? What is a veggie? And then what is a complex carbohydrate? And so some people are like, well, what do you mean by a complex carbohydrate? What is a carbohydrate that takes longer to burn? Something like quinoa, brown rice, whole wheat, whatever. Also thinking about like sweet potato, okay? And so here's the deal too. If anyone ever tells you you cannot have a certain food group, like you can't have fruit, it has too much sugar in it, I'm just like, why? Like fruit is okay, people. It is all good. Now, I do understand in ketosis, for example, you do have to completely wipe that out of your diet to get into that. And so is it a strategy for someone to see results? 100%. But here's the deal. Last time I checked, most people that I'm talking to are not going on stage for a figure competition. If that is the goal, though, I do want you to know that that is where stuff like that is going to come into play. But if you are the just normal, busy professional woman who desires to feel good in her own skin, you can eat all the food groups, and it does come back to portion. So I do want to call that out. So I want to speak into what does it take to actually do your nutrition? What it takes is having a plan. Now, I do not personally enjoy giving someone a meal plan and saying, do not deviate, eat only what's on this plan, and that's it. Because here's the deal. You have different taste preferences, and here's the thing. I don't want anyone to choke food down. What I want you to do is I want you to understand, okay, here's what I desire for breakfast. Does it have the right components? Does it have high protein? Is there a little bit of a carbohydrate to it? Do I enjoy it? Can I make it quick and easy and get out the door? Then same thing when we think about lunch. Okay, what is my protein source? Am I going to do a veggie? Is it a leftover from the night before? Do I have dedicated prepped lunches that I can easily grab and go? Is it going to a restaurant or dining out? What do I need to do to ensure that I can make the right choice? And then when it comes to dinner, this is where I do see that we definitely get into a rut. And it's like, okay, what sounds good? What feels good? And here's the deal. If you're waiting every single day to get home after a long day, kids' practices, this and that, and you go, what's for dinner? Like, I promise you that is a terrible space to be in. Not always, because some of us have our go-to quick tacos or, those quick meals that you can quickly go, but you have the stuff in the refrigerator. So you want to reasonably create a plan. So something that I have done forever that I kind of just take this for granted is breakfast is literally always the same thing. It is either a shake or I have eggs and toast. That is literally my go-to every single day. Then lunch is pretty much 99% of the time I cook up 3 pounds of chicken and I just grill chicken, some easy seasoning on it, and then I chop it all up, put it in storage containers, and then basically between my husband and I, we will eat that over the week, meaning 5 days. And then we have the different varieties of bagged salad mixes. Some people kind of cringe when I say that, but you know what? We split each of those bags in half and it works for us. Then when it comes to dinner, what I typically do is I will pick about 3 meals that I'm going to make, and then there will be leftovers from those meals. And so reasonably speaking, throughout the week, we will either A, just reheat something, or B, I know that I am either cooking it or my husband is cooking it. And so we've just kind of operated in that space. And that's why I wanted to share that, because not everybody gets that detailed, but I will tell you it saves us so much headache, so much frustration. And the thing that I want you to really look at is, okay, where are we going to be? Like when you think about your week, are we going to be running from this side of town to this side of town? And would you even have the opportunity to have your food at home? Do you need to have it in a cooler on the go? I mean, there's just so many things to think about. Now, the other thing that you want to consider is, okay, maybe we are going to be on the go, or maybe I just want to sit down and have, a meal that someone else serves me. For every woman, I'm like, yes, please. So it's one of those things too, like we have a couple go-to restaurants that on a random night that we both may be saying, you know what, let's just go grab something. You reasonably know that you can make a decent choice there and that you you wouldn't be tempted, for example. And I'm saying this all in the frame that you want to take care of yourself. You desire to see weight loss. This is how my brain works when it comes to this. Okay. So what do I see happen though? What I see happens is we just show up to life. We don't have a plan. When we don't have a plan, we plan to fail. Okay. And so this is something where if you're desiring certain results with your body, you can't just show up to life. And it's wild to me how many people they have no clue what they're going to eat day in and day out. And I'm like, holy moly. But I will tell you, it's going to serve you so much to have a plan and understanding. The other thing that I would really want every woman and man to understand is it's not, I can't have this. It's not this all or nothing mentality. It's not this dichotomy of like, I'm, losing weight, so I can't have this. So for example, I've had clients just over the years, like they will say, but it's so-and-so's birthday and there's going to be cake. And I'm like, okay, cool. Well, just go eat a reasonable, lunch or dinner, whatever it is. Keep it protein and veggie. Great, easy. And then when it comes to the piece of cake, just ask for a small piece or just eat a couple bites and call it a day. If you know that just having a couple bites, you're going to eat the whole thing, then maybe you do opt not to have it. So the thing that I want you to understand is you are in control. Nobody is making you eat anything. I also understand the pressure of you're not going to eat that? Oh, I worked hard on that. Da, 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 da. You always eat my cake. Oh, because here's the deal. A lot of our mothers, grandmothers, even our fathers, they have a love language that they like to feed. I love to cook food and feed people. It makes me feel good. I love when I sit down at the table and my kids actually say, yummy, mommy. It's like, oh, hallelujah. These guys are partying. But it's one of those things where it is a love language and we don't want to disappoint someone, but it is your body. Take control of what you're doing for yourself and stand firm. If you desire certain results and you know that you cannot do X, Y, or Z, then cool. And here's the thing, because I've watched 100 times my mom put a huge piece of pie in front of my dad because my dad absolutely loves pie and my mom loves making them and him enjoying them, and that's a feel good. But I've watched so many times his eyes just go, oh my gosh, this is too big of a piece, but yet he still eats it. Or I watch her give her piece to him, and then he feels obligated to eat it. And I've said to him multiple times, you don't have to eat that, Dad. And it was almost like, Arin, zip it. Because he knows, like, mom's going to be like, what do you mean? But so I just want to speak into that it's insane that we pressure people, but it happens all the time. And I see it. I 100% see it. I have even experienced it like, oh, someone doesn't like what I created, which is a very rare thing, but it does happen. And here's the thing, you have to just like, hey, this is what I want to put in my body, okay? The other thing that I want to speak into is overcoming sugar cravings. I know I'm kind of bouncing topics here, but I wanted to give this just an overall, just how do we hack through all of this? So you got to be prepared. That's absolutely hands down. Think about your week, what's going to make it go well. Understand what restaurants you can reasonably order things that make you feel good. They don't load it up with salt, which, good luck with that. Every restaurant is full of salt. Then you want to think about like the love language that people have and just helping them understand like, hey, I absolutely love your cake, your pie, your whatever, your cookies, but I'm really on a goal right now and I'm just going to have a taste because I know it's so good, right? And then you just move on and people will be like, oh, okay. But now let's think about how do we overcome sugar cravings? So you have to understand that sugar absolutely excites the brain, no different than drugs. So when you can reasonably think about that, you realize, ooh, okay, there's a reason I want more and more and more. And the manufacturers of sugar know this. They know that you are going to be quote unquote addicted. You want more. You like the good dopamine, the hit that you get when you consume it. And so something that I highly recommend is trying to stay away from sweets as much as possible. Again, we've got the holidays coming up, and just plan accordingly. Think about them. Just like, okay, I know that I'm going to steal a Reese cup from my kid's Halloween bucket. Like, that is a given. I even prompt them to say, go get the Reese cups. But just go in it knowing, like, hey, I'm just going to have a couple. And that's not a big deal. We always make wonderful just sugar cookies. It is a huge to-do. I love doing it with the kids. I love seeing what they create. And it's kind of cool as they're getting older too. It's not as big of a mess, but it is what it is, right? And we have a lot of fun with it. It's definitely become a tradition since the kids were both in a high chair. And so I really enjoy making those. And of course, I'm going a cookie or two. But again, it's just a couple and it's not a big deal. So you want to just keep that in the back of your mind that, you know what, there's some really exciting times that are coming in our life, and we don't have to be all or nothing. But I will tell you, if you're in weight loss mode, what you want to think about is, okay, what's a reasonable amount? Or do I need to just keep this out of my body? When you keep sugar, meaning refined sugar, like white sugar, candies, those kinds of things, when you keep that out of your body for a while and then you put it back in, you're like, oh, no, 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 no. And you feel it. So that is a good thing, because then it makes you go, oh my gosh, this is way too sweet. Or like if you haven't had a sweet salad dressing, for example, and all of a sudden you have it, you're like, oh my gosh, that is so sweet. So you want to truly try to balance having sweets, kind of plan around it. And here's the thing, I want to speak into this, is we do not need to have dessert. Every single day, you do not need to have dessert. I don't know where this came from. That should be more of a special occasion, once in a while. You don't need to have the extra calories. You don't need to have a sweet fix at night. So I do highly recommend really leaning into going, hey, is this behavior serving me? Is this food serving the goals that I desire? Is it helping me get towards what I want? Or is it pulling me further and further away from what I want? We want to be focused towards our goals, not running away from things. The other thing that I see happen multiple times with nutrition is we use our emotions. Our emotions dictate what we eat, how we eat. And I want to dive headfirst into this, because just because you had a stressful day doesn't mean you need to put certain stuff in your body to feel better. You can feel better right now in this moment. It is 100% your choice. And I want you to be empowered by that, because so many times I hear, well, Arin, my day went to hell in a handbasket, so I just started eating all the things. And in love and respect and empathy, I always have some version of, hey, the food is never going to solve the problem. The food is not going to make you feel better. It may give you a dopamine hit, but then you got to have another, you got to have another, you got to have another. So think of it that way and ask yourself, what can I do that would be loving and kind and mindful of the time and space that I'm in right now and the way that I'm feeling? What could you do that's going to help support and keep you on your goals? And here's the thing that I want to speak into. It's okay to have a bad day, okay? It's cool to have a bad day. It happens. It happens to the best of us. I have bad days, but you know what? Don't have to go into the pantry to help cover and mask. Instead, I would rather you dig into the feelings and understand, what do these feelings actually mean? And I have had my fair share of challenging days here just lately. And, it's one of those spaces where I never even think about turning to food to feel better. But I can also appreciate that a lot of people do. So I want you to get wildly clear on, what is the emotion that I feel, and name that emotion. Ask yourself what you can learn from the emotion, okay? And that might be challenging. And this is something I walk my clients through when they're having a tough time. What can you learn from this emotion? Because this emotion is real for you. It's deep. There's sometimes a few layers deep. And so what we want to understand is, what can we learn from it so that we can just let it go? Because as quickly as you can be sad, you can be happy. As quickly as you can feel anger, feel joy. And the thing that I will tell you is, we stew and stir over a lot of things for no good reason. Okay? It's okay. Stuff happens. Stuff happens that maybe we don't care for, or it wasn't exactly the way that we wanted it to go. But here's the thing, stewing and stirring and getting mad and angry over stuff. Now, this doesn't mean you're just a mute, like you just have no emotions or feelings, but it's really nice when you don't get that emotional charge from things. I've had a few instances here where I was just like, oh my gosh, I am getting so charged by this. And I had to really check myself and say, girl, let it go. What can you learn from it? And then I would process some of those things that I could do. And then I just had to let it go. And this has probably been one of the most empowering things for myself personally. And I hope that with me saying it enough times, that you'll truly adopt that as soon as you can feel sadness, you can feel joy. Okay. And sometimes it just takes us focusing on joy instead of focusing on sad. And if you keep seeing yourself going to sad, you have to keep reframing yourself to finding the goodness, finding the positivity. There's a lot of things that have happened, and I think grief is one of the hardest. I think when I have a client or a friend and they've lost a loved one, right? I think that is one of the toughest spaces. But when we can really shift our focus to honoring that person, because here's the thing, no matter how sad, how upset we feel about the person, none of that is ever going to bring them back. And I say that in love, in all respect. So the more we can shift and reframe that we honor this person, it has just a different feeling about it. And it's not going to just send you instantly into joy. Because again, we just want the person back in our life, right? We feel cheated. Like, why is this person not here anymore? And it's tough. Like, hands down, I think that has probably been one of the toughest emotions that I've helped people work through. And I can just certainly only imagine if I was personally going through something. So I want you to really take from this message that these aren't hacks necessarily. This is just normal everyday life. When it comes to seeing weight loss with nutrition, you just have to step into this mindful space around, how much food do I actually need? For most of us, it is absolutely just an overall reduction in what we're taking in. Another slice of this, and obviously this has been spoken about on multiple other podcasts, but you gotta move your body. That will absolutely help. For most of us, we do not move our body enough. So really dig into your nutrition. Look at it from a super high level. What can you plan and prepare? If you know that you're dining out, make sure that it's a restaurant that you can absolutely make a good choice. And really just have to start showing up as I am this person now. I don't overconsume food. I don't clean up after the kids eat, because that's definitely one, like, I've even noticed it with myself, like they don't finish a plate of whatever, and I just caught myself picking at it a little bit, and I'm like, what am I doing? I don't even want this. And, picking a couple things here and there, no big deal. But if you find yourself finishing after you've already had your own, you just have to really watch that and be mindful around that. And try to keep sweets at bay, but again, plan for them. Plan for, you know what, it's so-and-so's birthday. I cannot wait. They always have a really super yummy cake. I mean, that's my thing. If we're going to have it, it better be good. And then really dig into any of the emotional feelings that you feel along the way. And that's going to help serve you. The food will never solve any of the problems. It is absolutely a temporary good feeling, and be better off to find another way to process emotions. One really, really helpful thing that you can do as I wrap this podcast up here is really find therapy in walking. Walking, whether you're listening to music, whether you're listening to a good podcast, whether you are just listening to the sounds of nature, right? Like, find so much therapy in going for a simple walk versus reaching for food. If it's later at night and you're all in your feels, please just go to bed. Take a hot bath, hot shower, drink some tea maybe, and just go to bed. You'll feel 10,000 times better in the morning with a good night's rest, a hot bath, whatever it takes, versus whatever you would maybe consume. And listen, it always starts out with something healthy and then it just goes south. So take these hacks, I'm putting air quotes, but take these hacks, and they're really not hacks. This is just normal everyday life, okay? But I want you to adopt these things into your life. Don't overthink nutrition. It is really, really simple. And get wildly in tune with how your body feels when you eat a certain way, when you don't. And another thing that I will tell you as I finish this out, be consistent. Nutrition and weight loss takes absolute consistency. You can't starve yourself one day, overeat the next day. Gotta stay in this just happy medium zone. Your body's gonna thank you. You're gonna feel better. You're gonna have so much mental clarity. And just remember, shop the perimeter of the grocery store, minimal up and down the aisles. All right, let me know if you have any questions. Nutrition is a huge, huge topic, and I hope that I can really spread the goodness and spread the truth around doing proper nutrition. All right, take care.